Tell me why it's so hard just to do what's right. I think the wrong feel way too good. I need to challenge my mind. My flesh indulged when he was younger, such a bad starting time.
My name is Connor Haig, and professionally I go by Caution with a K, because I'm just that cool. I grew up in a small town called Ogallala, Nebraska. I'm on the spectrum. Many people don't actually realize that I'm pretty light on the spectrum. I'm to a point where only I can really tell. Other people can't really tell. I have a really hard time saying exactly how I feel into words. Making music kind of helps that. And it helps me actually put it into a way that can be comprehensive. And most of the time, if I work on music, I can put that into an actual sound. I can show how I feel, musically. And also, I think my autism obsessions kind of help me stay into it. I've been obsessed with music for a couple of years now. So where I started, I was just making beats on my phone. I think I was in middle school. I was in middle school, probably around 6th or 7th grade, and I was known as that kid who made really bad beats. If I had a better computer, I would have definitely made it faster, but it kind of taught me patience and learning to use my resources even though I don't have too many resources. So where I am now, I have 3 songs that have currently been dropped, and I have more on the way, way more on the way. Long term, I definitely want to be on the Metro Boomin level. I can put out albums and have a bunch of features on those albums and not actually have to sing myself and make a whole body of work. I want to keep pushing out more of this positive type of music because the response I got to it is a lot it hit home a little bit too much because everybody's like, wow, this song helped me this way. And it's some people are talking about how they can relate to the lyrics and stuff, and they can actually catch a vibe, and it can positively impact them. And it's cool. I like doing that. So hopefully we can get more. If I get to make more music, I get to help more people positively. This song is actually going to be released as a single on my page, as myself as an artist, featuring Azel Hashia. He's the artist on the song. He's the one singing. I just did the beat. This added some plugins to make his voice sound a little bit better. Auto-tune, equalization, de-esser, bunch of stuff.
Would you believe me if I told you I was in this for life? Fighting demons for the heck of it. Don't think that sound right, but it's too real. Yeah, Lord, it's too real.
If you want to hear more from me, on TikTok, Caution_777, Instagram, same name. Same with SoundCloud. You can find me on Apple Music, Spotify, and every other major streaming platform as Caution, all caps, with a K. And yeah, that's it.
Tell me why it's so hard just to do what's right. I think the wrong feel way too good. I need to challenge my mind. My flesh indulged when he was.
My name is Kyle Mork, and I am the sports producer at South Dakota Public Broadcasting. I started off here as a videographer editor, so I was always on the production side of it, which means the behind the camera, the editing, the shooting. So I started off as videographer about 25 years ago and was in that position for a few years, and then I moved on to the director role. But now my role has changed into producer of live sports. I've been doing that for about 3-4 years. Part of what public broadcasting is telling stories of people across South Dakota, and that includes students. So to get their side of the story and how much sports means to them or how much fine arts means to them is really what our true mission is. One of the best parts of my job is working with the different people that I get to work with throughout the state, throughout our organization. I get to work with people that are really good at what they do, so I use their talent and what I try to prepare for them to make the best show that we can for a live sporting event. You know, I go back to the excitement part of it. I think sports is super exciting. You never know which way it's going to turn. You could be as planned as you can be for a sporting event, and it can always change in a snap of a finger. So you always got to be on your toes, ready to change the direction of how you're planning it. For example, if there's a call that certain people don't like or they feel it's wrong, you have to make the right call on how many times to show it. Is it the right thing to show? Say for instance, there's an injury. You know, we don't like to show like injuries because that's no fun to show. One of the harder things for my job is when you have multiple things going on at the same venue. This year for state high school volleyball, we had 3 separate broadcasts in the same location, which means 3 complete different crews in the same location trying to broadcast all 3 sites. So that was a little bit tricky because we're on top of each other. There's a lot of gear and a lot of cables that can be intermixed, and you just have to figure it out. It's like a big jigsaw puzzle. You have to make sure everything's connected and everybody's ready to go. Sportscasting to me is what I've done since I was a young kid. As I watch sports on TV, and now I get to work it. So I watch anywhere from football to basketball to baseball to many more sports, and to watch it on TV and now be able to do it myself is an honor, and it's so much fun. Here at SDPB, we cover 22 events throughout the year. Most of them we take photographs of and post results, but we do 12 of the 22 we do as live events. So that's where we bring our full production crew, and we set up cameras, and we have announcers, and we broadcast live, both on our television station part of it, so broadcast, and then we stream it as well.
My name is Tara Urich, and I am Director of Operations and Training for the Barnes Group. I actually oversee the team and their leader, Abby Wright. I oversee 6 salons, so I visit them once a week. I spend time with their leaders, make sure that they're staying on budget, they're scheduling their girls accordingly to what the salon needs, have the tough conversations with them, with some of their stylists if they need to, celebrate their stylists when they do something amazing, and just kind of be there as a support system for them as they run their salons. So my farthest salon north is Yankton, South Dakota, and then I have 2 in Norfolk, Nebraska. I have 2 in Columbus, Nebraska, and then my farthest south is Fremont, Nebraska. So when I do my visit, sit down with my leader, check in on them, make sure that they don't have anything pressing that they need my help with, and then kind of check in on their team, just more as a huddle up to how are you doing, how are things, is there anything that I can do for you, and then just most definitely just be the support system for that leader. And then I'm kind of a liaison between home office and the leaders. I learn every day, something new every day, whether that's from a stylist, from one of my leaders. Probably compassion, kindness, a lot of empathy, because you have to kind of put yourself in the position of your leader and your stylist, you know. I was behind the chair at one point, full time, like they are, and so I know the struggles that come with that and the wins of that too. And so walking beside the leader through those struggles and then celebrating the wins with them, for sure. If they were applying at Cost Cutters in Norfolk, I would tell them that it's a very upbeat, energized salon to work in. The girls have an incredibly good time every day. They're very busy, it's super high volume, so they cut a lot of hair, and in turn they make a lot of money. And they're just a really incredible team to work with.
McCarthy, founder of District Table on Tap, co-owner of Seven County Spirits. Me and my general manager, Brandon Clunder, just saw a void of craft beer in Norfolk, Nebraska. We tried to bring as much in on tap as we could at Big Red, our previous establishment, but we found there were some restriction issues, so we opened up our own downtown. Our original plan was to have just one side of the building, but as you can see, we tore the wall down and made it bigger. We added a kitchen. So the plan was craft beer and craft cocktails, and it kind of grew from appetizers to a full kitchen. Over 30 beers on tap. Most are from Nebraska. We own Loop River Distilling out of St. Paul, Nebraska. So we do a lot of craft cocktails, featuring their vodka, their gin, their bourbon, their whiskey. And then the menu is based typically on appetizers, kind of shareable things. The point of our establishment is when you come in there, you spend you spend a lot of time there. So it's more of a social thing than it's a kind of quick in and out. Like every Friday night, starting about 9 o'clock, we feature local musicians, nationwide musicians. So we'll do some Thursday music as well from time to time, but we prefer Friday night. Man, it's just happy hour crowd we get. It's always fun. We have aggressive specials. So happy hour has always been one of my funnest things to do, as a young adult growing up, and that's where you get to meet people. The staff is always having fun. It's always a very laid-back atmosphere. So I think the funnest part about District, what I love the most, is just watching our staff interact with them. We just hope that they are leaving satisfied, and they appreciate the staff's patience with them and the staff's attentiveness. And we put a lot of work into our employees' retention, recruitment. We want our employees to stick around forever and continue working with us and growing with us as our business grows. So I think more than anything else, I just want them to leave and be satisfied.
My name is Carmen Carey Montoya. I'm in the 11th grade. I'm a musician, and I like music.
A new man Bojangles and he danced for you. Worn out shoes with silver hair, ragged shirt and baggy pants. The old soft shoe.
It all started when, I liked the guitar beforehand. I would dabble in it because my sister would play it, so I'd be like, okay, I'd mess with it too. But it was terrible. I wasn't good at all. And then my mom offered to pay me $100 if I learned how to play 2 songs on my guitar by the time she went to Norfolk and back home. And so then I actually learned 2 songs. I learned Here Comes the Sun and then some Twinkle, Twinkle Little Star or whatever. So yeah, but I never got the $100. So, and then I just kept playing from there.
He jumped so high, then he lightly touched down.
But it really wasn't anything special. It wasn't really important until I learned the guitar, and I thought, wow, maybe I could actually do something with this, because I was pretty good at it.
His dog up and died, and after 20 years he still grieves.
I guess when I went and did my last performance, I was super nervous, and I was like trying to think of ways to not be nervous. So I was like, I saw this one thing, I don't know from where, but I saw it, and it was like, if you're ever nervous when you're performing, be the character. Or if you want to, you know, really do good and express yourself through the music, become the character you're singing about, or whoever's singing, become them. And so I was performing Mr. Bojangles for my last concert, and I was like, I'm Bojangles. I'm gonna be singing this song about Bojangles, and I'm Bojangles. So it kind of helped, yeah.
Mr. Bojangles, Mr. Bojangles, Mr. Bojangles, dance.
Well, it's still hard now. There's times where I'm playing and I get frustrated. I'm like, yeah, I'm not playing this anymore. And then there's been times where I go through binges of playing guitar every day, every minute of the day. I think the longest I've played my guitar is probably like 6 hours straight. My hands were like bleeding afterwards. I go through binges of playing guitar every single day, every day of the week, every day of the month, and then I go through times where I don't play the guitar for like 2 months or like half a year. Practice like fretting first, because I didn't practice fretting first, and that's like the #1 thing I struggle with. But yeah, go for YouTube. Those books, they help you, but man, YouTube is just they have your hand and they just walk you through it. It's really easy.
My name is Bill Ford. I originally am from Bertrand. I've been teaching here in Bertrand, replaced my industrial technology teacher 28 years ago. And so I teach industrial technology. I have coached boys basketball, girls basketball, track, and football. I was influenced, I believe, by Mr. Rankin, Nori Rankin. He was my industrial technology teacher. And so he had a lot of influence on me. We had farmed for quite a few years, and we basically became a statistic of the 1980s. Our farm failed in the 1980s, and so I was looking at a career change, and I visited a lot with Mr. Rankin, and that just seemed really appealing to me. I think adapting to society and to the culture. There's a lot of people that are involved with education, which is good. I think there's some forces that can be somewhat negative. I think we've turned from school as a whole. There's more of a challenge with each student, and so to meet those individual needs has been a little bit more of a challenge. And so I think that's been kind of a big challenge, adapting to the culture and adapting to expectations of parents and that type of thing. So that's been somewhat of a challenge. So I think it's just technology that has changed it and it certainly made me way more efficient. And it is, through the different things of technology, has changed the game drastically. And I'm anxious to see how that's going to continue. In the area out into the shop, the lasers are amazing. Our SawStop is amazing. It's the safety that's involved with those things. So there's the tools that we have access to in the classroom, as well as in the shop, in construction. It's absolutely amazing. The materials have changed. And so it's exciting showing those kids the new tools, new processes, new machines. And so through all of that, it has changed drastically. And so it's going to be interesting to see where it's going, because we know it's going to change twice as fast in a short amount of time. You know, it's a funny thing when you talk about retiring, is that you're, through all of this, it's kind of like when I quit farming. I wasn't sure I could do anything. You know, what else can you do? So it's funny that you ask that what do you plan to do? And I'm not sure what I'm going to be capable of doing. But I do know that I'm going to, I'd like to spend a lot of time into a hobby shop that I want to construct. I want to spend a little bit more time chasing grandkids. I want to spend a little bit more time helping out on the ranch, working with cattle, working at the seed shed. Right now it's a little bit surreal. It doesn't seem real at all, because everything is really going to stay the same up until August. There's a lot of different athletic things that I've been able to be a part of. And so you go top 10 things in athletics, and coaching with Brent Streeter, and wins at Hemingford, that was huge. Upset wins that you win. A highlight has to be going nearly 2, 3, 4 with a lot of girl pole vaulters. Going 1-2 last year at state with one of those being my grandson. There's a lot of memories like that. And what's really rewarding is that those same kids remember that and cherish that time just like I do. Because on our refrigerator right now, just at this moment, we have 5 or 6 wedding invitations for just this summer alone. That's really meaningful. And so that means a lot, in that it's way more about, it's more than school. It's more than athletics. It's those young people as people and me as a person. We've come together. And so that's really cool.
Hi, I'm Kellen Sager, attraction attendant. Basically, I take care of all the games, and it consists of helping out customers, regardless if they're having a bad day and they're taking it out on me, or they're having the best day and they're just ecstatic and they're overhyped and everything. I have to help them regardless and have a smile on my face, and mostly it's a genuine smile because I enjoy helping people and I enjoy making people's day, and I just love interacting with customers and such, so yeah. I love their enthusiasm for the games and bowling in general. Like, yeah, we did cut out 8 lanes for the arcade, but it was way worth it because the arcade has just brought in so many people of all types of backgrounds and such, and everyone just comes together and to enjoy the games, and it's just a great experience, yeah. What do I like about my job? Well, there's a lot of things to like. I get to interact with people on a daily basis. I get to see kids light up with excitement because they get prizes and they get a bunch of cool gadgets and everything in the arcade, and just a really cool experience. Well, this is the second remodel for me because I've been through it all, and I was there when we got the old arcade taken away and built the new arcade, and that was very appealing to all the customers, and they were like, oh my gosh, this is just like Dave & Buster's. We now have a bigger arcade for the customers, and their love for the arcade keeps on growing and growing and growing. I love working with my coworkers because it's always something new. Like, we would always be pulling pranks on each other, appropriate pranks, of course. We would have great discussions while we're working and everything, talking about like our favorite movie franchise, or talk about what we ate the other day, you know. Our hobbies get discussed and everything, and yeah, it's just a great environment to be in. On New Year's Eve, my first New Year's Eve, I was not expecting so many people. Like, usually on a good Saturday night, we have a good crowd of like maybe 500, like the whole night, you know, throughout the whole day through the night, we have about 500 people. In New Year's Eve, 500 people were there, it felt like. I know it's an exaggeration, but 500 people were there in New Year's Eve, and it was just insane. I was just not ready for it, but I buckled down and got to it, and yeah, it was a good night. It was a long night, but it was worth it. It was fun. My favorite part of my job, it would have to be the environment, because I'm free to joke around with my employees. I'm free to say what's on my mind, and it's a safe place, and I really respect everyone there. It's just a great environment to be in. Yeah, it's a great time. I have a great time. Yeah, 100% I would recommend working at the Bowling Alley.
I like that the Northeast campus is very small compared to like other campuses. It's easy to get around. You see a lot of your friends around, so a lot of the times you stop by and say hi to them.
I like how many places there are, especially over in the Union, to hang out with people and just enjoy my time here in between classes. The cafeteria and other places like the Legends Grill are amazing.
Campus life is very vast because there's lots of things you can do, including the SAC events, hanging out with friends. You can go to the Union.
Get to meet new friends and hang out and, not sit in your dorm all the time.
Northeast campus life is nice. It's just nice.
I like coming to campus to mainly hang out with my friends. There's something always going on campus, whether it's through the student activities or with your friends. There's something going on a lot of the time. Most of your friends come from getting involved on campus.
Being involved on campus life is very, very important, and I definitely recommend it.
My job at Northeast Community College is being one of 3 media arts instructors here in the media arts program. Specifically, I am the digital cinema instructor. I always knew I wanted to be in the media field. My first passion is music, and that's where I started. I can remember at the age of 12 or 13 getting Audacity for free on my computer and doing some really crummy multi-tracks with guitar, drum and bass, and a little bit of vocals. So that was my initial foray into media production. I carried that all through high school and into college. I actually attended Northeast Community College's audio recording technologies program, which was, this was before we had the whole media arts umbrella. My classes typically start around 9 o'clock, 9:30, so I'll start with that. And then in between the classes, depending on the day, the project, the need of the student, I will assist the student. During times that I'm not helping a student, I have other duties and responsibilities. I check emails, I make sure my parts or my responsibilities in the media arts program are being met. My favorite part of my job is explaining or talking with a student about a certain piece of technology, a technique, or just anything in general that has to do with the content we're learning about. And then I really, really enjoy seeing them take that knowledge, take that technique, and go out on their own and implement those techniques or that piece of knowledge into their work. That's probably the most satisfying part for me. I consistently learn something every day from my students, the readings I do, the videos I watch, the conferences I attend, and even on different freelance shoots that I go on. The day you say you stop learning something in the media industry is the day you become a full-blown liar, because you can't know everything. Nobody can know everything. You can specialize in a field, but you can't know everything. I consistently learn new tips, tricks, and techniques on a daily basis. The advice I'd give somebody entering the media arts industry is learn how to work with people. This is a service industry at heart, and you're going to work with lots of different personalities, cultures, opinions, etc., etc. There's not many people that can say they often look forward to coming to work in the mornings. I am fortunately one of those people. I often look forward to coming to work in the mornings. I really enjoy seeing the creations that my students, that our students in the media arts program come up with. At heart, I'm just a creative person. I like creative writing, I like creative music, I like creative visuals, I like creative storytelling. So whenever I see that from one of our students, it just kind of makes me all warm and fuzzy inside.
I'm Ram Waters. I was adopted. I was born in Pune, India. Pune, India is a very small city, but yet a very big city compared to us. Pune is the size of Lincoln, Omaha, and a little bit of Grand Island all connected together. But for India, that's a very small city. I lived in India was a daycare center. It was a 5-story building. I remember there being, the front of it was a glass wall almost, and there were always these 5 stories. Inside those stories were just beds and stuff, and maybe a small kitchen on each floor. Each floor has its own year, like each age. The first floor is infants to toddlers, and then the second floor would be like 3 to 4 or 5-year-olds, and then it would bump up to 10 to 11, and then 13 I think is the max you could go. If you got past 13, you had to be kicked out. If you're wondering how I got to the daycare center, living by myself when I was maybe 2 years old, one of the ladies that worked at the daycare center saw me. She picked me up and took me to the nearest police station, and they fingerprinted me, did a bunch of DNA tests, and for some reason they couldn't find my parents and stuff. And so a police officer looks at the lady who picked me up and said, "What do we do with him? Do we take him? Where do you want? What should we do with him?" And she goes, "I'll take him to the daycare center." He goes, "Okay." And so ever since then, until I got adopted, I was at the daycare center. There were a lot of people at the daycare center. There'd be a max of maybe 50 kids on each floor in the daycare center. You each had your own kind of bed. It was just, all it was just one giant room. Each floor was just one giant room, a small kitchenette area, bunch of beds, and a little living room, if you will, to sleep. And then each floor had 2 adults, 2 or 3, I don't remember, 2 or 3 adults on each floor. That would just make sure you're safe, everyone's okay. So they slept on the floor with us, or they slept with us. And then there'll be, some of those workers would go up and down the building just to make sure everyone's being okay and safe and everything. And the daycare was pretty much a school. We got taught there. It wasn't a good education. I don't remember what we got taught. I remember pieces of what we got taught. I don't remember everything. But the food was the toughest part because what we had was an Indian dish that was, if you will, is a tortilla shell dipped with peas. Now that's just a plain, very ordinary Indian dish that you would eat is curry. Curry is an ingredient that you cook with. It's really mostly only used by Indians because it's made in India. You dip it in that, and then that's what you had is that curry. And then to go with that, we'd have goat milk. It was disgusting. I remember that because it truly was disgusting. But we couldn't drink the water because the water had lead in it. Thing is, like, we'd run out of food halfway through the week, and so the workers that worked there had to bring their own food. But where they lived, it was very expensive to cook, so they'd trade off. So day to day was you'd wake up at whatever time it was. So I think for me it was, I don't know how the time system works in India. I don't remember how it works. I think it was closer to 10 o'clock in the morning. You'd wake up and you just kind of just start the day off like a normal day any normal person would do, but we only had one shower in the entire building, and the longest you could be in there for was a minute. We didn't have much water. And you never took a shower every single day. You took a shower maybe once a week. And so it was sometimes either cold or hot, you never know. And then you get done. We always had this outfit where it was, boys had to wear pants and a kind of like a button-up t-shirt with maybe a tie, or like a tie. That's what we had, and then girls wore skirts and a shirt. So that's what we had. Those were your clothes. If you lost those clothes, you wouldn't get any more. For me, when I was getting adopted, it was more or less of a ritual when we were at the daycare center, or care center. It would start out with everybody that's in the daycare, everybody, whether you're an infant or you're 13, doesn't matter, would all join in this big, huge room on the first floor, and you would participate in this gathering with your new adopted parents, and you would kind of just have what looked like Indian candy. It was chocolate candy, and you'd each have a piece of it, and it kind of looked like a Tootsie Roll, I'm not gonna lie. I don't think it was that though. But you'd eat that, and you'd eat it, and then it was just a fun thing that they wanted to do. You could also you also got this red dot on your forehead, which is another ritual thing. I don't remember the exact way they use that for, but yeah, you get that on your forehead also. And then you would go outside to that little playground area, and you would go in these different competitions. The kid that's being adopted would go in these different competitions with other people, and it would be like a monkey bar climb. Whoever can climb the highest, or whoever could run the fastest along the jungle gym or whatever it was called. And you just do different competitions like that, and just show the parents, your new parents, what all you did, what all you didn't do, and stuff like that. And yeah, so that's what it was. And yeah, it was a fun tradition that they had. I don't I remember parts and pieces. I don't remember much of it, but yeah. And then so what we did was, so my parents came pick me up on, I think it was like a Sunday, and then we came back that next Sunday because we stayed a full week. I always had friends and family ask me, Ram, if you ever went back, would you go back? That's always a question that kind of, it's a very personal question, and I'm okay with people asking me that question, don't get me wrong. But sometimes the answer is people don't like the answer. I'll tell you the answer right now. I would say no, because why would I go back to something that I lived in poverty? I lived on the side of the street. I didn't have anything. I had literally nothing. I lived in poverty my first 5 years of my entire life. I don't want to go through that again. I don't want my future kids to go through that again. I don't want my grandkids to go through that again. I'm not gonna, no, I don't want to go back there anytime soon. Do I want to go back there? Sometimes I think to myself, yes, I do. I would want to go back there just to see, the only reason why I want to go back there is to see if any of them are still there, to see if any of the people that work there are still there, if the building is still there. That would be the only reason why I'd go back. Other than that, no, I don't want to go back. It's not something I want to go back to. If I went back to that, that was not going to be a happy vacation for me, especially for me. And if I did go back, it would have to be with my adopted parents. And I don't want to be that kind of sentimental to that kind of thing.
I'm Zane Thompson. I went to school at Anselmo Myrna High School, and I'm a sophomore in the Digital Cinema program at Northeast Community College. So I live in dorm. I've lived in Path Hall for the last 2 years, and it's a great place to live. I have the I forget what they call them, the studio rooms where you get your own little bedroom. So it's nice that I have that little space to myself, and the dorms are just nice. They're always clean. I mean, they're never trashed out in the public areas, and so it's a nice place to live. And then the cafeteria, I end up eating there almost every day. I have the unlimited meal plan, and it's so convenient to just get food on campus. It's a pretty reasonable price too, to just pay for the meal plan for the whole year. I think the Northeast campus looks beautiful. I like the pathways, and I like the hills. You know, it just looks really cool. The lights look awesome. It's pretty fun to go out at night and shoot some funky stuff. I'm a digital cinema major, and I actually started at Northeast under the digital journalism and social media management degree. However, I really enjoyed my camera and lighting classes. I really enjoyed the lensing and discussing how cameras work, and then post-production. I love post-production. I had a blast doing those classes, stuff like media graphics, the post-production classes. I think that's a career I want to pursue, so I ended up switching over to digital cinema. I really like Northeast because they've got a wide range of gear, and what's really cool about Northeast is the gear they have here is the exact same over at NCN here in Norfolk. A lot of the stuff they use is what you will actually find out in the field. Great, like we call them the cinema lenses. It's really cool, the opportunity we have because of our ease of access to so much equipment here at Northeast.
So I was born in 2003 in June, and with spina bifida. My parents knew that I had spina bifida before I was born. When my mom went in for one of her ultrasounds, she found out that I had the disability. And so there was some doctoring with a high-risk doctor, and then when I was born, the high-risk doctor is the one that did it. So I was considered a late walker, but it wasn't like I was 7. I think I was 18 months, 2 years, so it was a little bit later than what a lot of people are, but it still wasn't terrible. And the first little bit that I walked, I used a walker, and I don't know exactly how long it took for me to be able to walk like that. So the braces themselves are pretty easy. There's no no issues like the walking. The only thing that you have to really check with the braces are if they're rubbing or anything. If anything happens with them, you have to make sure that you're not getting any sore response. That's the only thing could be with an issue with the braces. So it's not terribly different than the average person. The only thing that's really different is when I go to class, I have to allocate different amount of time if it takes me longer to get there, and then I have a couple extra procedures that I have to do at night. We had to stop and do stuff. We went on a really big trip to Disney, and we actually rented a wheelchair for that one because we knew there was no way I was going to be able to walk the parks. And so for really big vacations that would involve a lot of walking, we would most likely get a wheelchair, and then I would use it as much as little as I wanted to. So the leg braces, that's just kind of something that, the leg braces aren't directly related to surgeries, it's just something that helps me walk. But so in my life I've had like 30 surgeries, and I had a really big one the day I was born. So what I didn't mention before is what spina bifida is you're born with a hole in your spine, and the hole goes from your spine all the way to your back, so there's a visible hole that you can see. And so the day I was born, when I was a couple hours old, the first surgery I had was to close that hole. And then I had a bunch of surgeries on my legs, and then a couple other random ones here and there. So I wouldn't necessarily call it rare, but it affects everyone differently. So like my specific kind, the things that I have to go through with my spina bifida, the next person may not necessarily have to go through. It just depends. The thing about spina bifida is, since your spine is so big, the hole can be anywhere, and depending on where the hole in the spine is, depends on the severity and what gets affected, because your spine controls most of the body. Mainly just like timing things out, and it just takes me longer to walk. I walk slower and I get tired easier. So that's really the main thing. Nope, just the walker for a little bit, and then I've had a couple surgeries that have really slowed me down. I need to use a walker after that, but I've never had to use like a cane or anything. 90% of the time I need zero help walking, minus the braces, which are just a stability thing. But 90% of the time I need nothing else, like a walker, cane, or anything else.
Yeah.